Thank you, Chair.
Cheers.
No, just to say that I do welcome the bill, and I welcome all that the Minister is trying to do when it comes to helping small and medium enterprises and helping to create an environment that can help create jobs and promote business in the domestic economy. And the action plan, as we know, is key to that strategy that the Minister has. And at the moment, the Cabinet is discussing the iteration of the action plan for 2014. The government's doing good work in this area, and the evidence shows us that in trying to make it as easy as possible for new businesses to get going and for existing businesses to survive and thrive. And I think it's important, and it's been said here before, and it's become a bit of a mantra now, that it's not the responsibility of government to create jobs, but to create an environment in which jobs can be created, can be kept in the first instance, and created on top of that. And I know it's often repeated, but if we look back to the boom years, we looked at the fastest sector in terms of job creation and job growth. The biggest sector was construction. After that, it was the public sector. That's the government directly creating jobs, and it shouldn't have done it that way. Now, there would have been other reasons, probably political, in which it pursued that particular course, but that wasn't to the benefit of the country, particularly when the economic collapse came. So when we look at things like the Action Plan for Jobs and the strategy that's been pursued there, it's about giving small supports in a tangible way in key areas of the economy that could help private enterprise and private individuals succeed, and from that create jobs and create a healthier economy. And just in one aspect of that action plan that I would hope to see promoted is peer-to-peer financing. I've mentioned this a number of times in the bill already, but this is a solid alternative to both bank lending and government lending, and there's great space for it at the moment. You know, in the UK in 2013, 10% of lending to SMEs was done through peer-to-peer lending. For the borrower, you're getting your loans at a cheaper rate. For the lender, you're getting a higher interest rate than you would be getting if you were, say, saving that money or putting it into less profitable investments. So there's a great benefit to everyone involved in the market, and the other good thing about it is that it doesn't involve the banks, because that lending model now is being challenged, and rightly so, and it doesn't involve the government directly. And so that's something that needs to be promoted. So I do hope that the action plan for 2014 can promote that in a tangible way, either through some sort of tax incentive or tax relief, or through a small bit of funding that would follow private funding in that market once the different auctions close. But anyway, I mean, there's a detailed submission on this into the Minister's office, and I hope it will be considered. We are right to be making it easier for businesses, new or existing, to navigate the difficult system that there is when it comes to interacting with local government or with their responsibilities in general. I think that's one of the welcome things in this bill, to try and reduce the red tape that's there for businesses, but also to make people aware of the available supports that are there for them. And in this sense, then, a one-stop shop model is a very smart way to proceed. It should be possible for a business-minded person to go into their local authority, to go to a public desk, and in one interaction, be able to discover all that they might need to do to set up a business, the files that would need to be completed and filed, the different forms that would need to be checked, any charges that might need to be paid, and different applications made for different areas or different types of businesses. There should also be a facility to point them in the direction of where other types of supports might be found, be they mentoring, networking, or even low level of funding. But just on that latter point, I'm not quite sure that the local authority is the best place to warehouse those actual services, and I'll come back to that in a moment. But when we talk about a business person interacting with the local authority and interacting with government in trying to set up a business or to expand a business, you know, it's important that we have to acknowledge, I think, that there are too many charges in terms of the variety of charges that fall on a small business today that make it far more complicated to administer and to do one's business, and that these charges are too high. I have had it in a number of situations where people would come to me who are in the process of trying to open a new business, and they have a multiplicity of charges already levied on them, so they therefore already have liabilities to the local authority, and they haven't even begun to trade yet. And it seems to me to be a ridiculous situation. In addition to that, I think the way we charge our local businesses in terms of the commercial rate system needs to be completely looked at again and redrawn. I mean, we have a flat tax on business, a flat tax on enterprise. That cannot be seen as a strategy, a taxation strategy that promotes enterprise. Our taxes on employment are too high, and we have to, I think, acknowledge that that is a disincentive to creating jobs, because, you know, if we use taxes in other areas of the economy to reduce activity, then if we use taxes that are too high in employment, they're also going to reduce that activity as well. The same logic must follow through. So I do think that these are two key issues that we need to keep on addressing in government. Good to put in things like one-stop shops, good to use the action plan for jobs to put those key parts of support into particular areas of the economy. But if basic things like the cost of doing business in terms of the taxes that are levied on the business or the cost of employment are too high, then that's going to be an absolute barrier from the get-go. The Minister's ambition in relation to this bill is the establishment of local employment offices, and I think that's to be commended. It's a huge amount of work with a lot of moving pieces, and certainly many people accessing those services across the country are going to benefit from the new arrangement. But I just would like to make a particular point in relation to Dublin, and I would like to note that in making that point, I did previously sit on the enterprise board here in Dublin City. I'm not sure if the solution for Dublin, personally, is to merge the local enterprise board into the local authority. There might be a good case for this in other areas of the country, but we need to recognise, I think, when it comes to talking about our policy and our strategy for the country, that a one-size-fits-all approach isn't necessarily in the best interest of the capital. You know, Dublin is different, and it should be treated differently. We are the economic engine of the country, the Dublin region. We have the highest concentration of people. We raise the most in GDP. And you know, there's a greater diversity in terms of possible avenues for accessing funding. There are more networking events. There are more people, and as a result, there are more mentors available to people out there. If it's working well, and it is working well, I think that the direct control of the local authority, why would we change that? It might be a better pursuit for other parts of the country and other regions. I completely accept that. But when it comes to Dublin and the significance that it has for the wider economy, we have to be sure that we're moving in the right direction. And I might be wrong, and I would defer to the Minister on this, but my experience tells me that if you want to be a successful support to small businesses, then it's better to be a small business. And if you want to get advice on entrepreneurship, then it's better to speak to an entrepreneur. And that's the kind of mindset that we should be approaching as we try to help people, private enterprise in the economy, get going again and rebuild the domestic economy. I do hope that by moving Dublin City Enterprise Board into the City Council, we do not in some way damage that small business spirit that has led that company into trying to do its best for other small businesses in the city, and which did it very well, in my experience, and from everything that I've seen since. But I would like to commend and to thank all the members of the company and the board members for the service they have given to date, and I wish them well in what they do in the future. And I wish the Minister well as well, also in his strategies for promoting job creation, and with the Action Plan for Jobs 2014 that will be released shortly. Thank you.